Today we're in a small town called Bromyard in Herefordshire, just in the borders of Worcestershire.
Oh, I didn't see you there. It's me, Thomas Edward, also known as TE. Welcome to my holidays in Herefordshire. We've come to Bromyard. Now, I've been to Bromyard before, but never filmed. And I wanted to come back and film, because there's a bit of railway history in Bromyard. What, if you look at it today on the surface, you wouldn't necessarily see it. And then you start looking and you see the railway in pub, and then you get further and further down and you go, oh, this looks a bit old railway, and then there's something even better what I'll get onto. But we thought we'd start here on this road, on this bridge, because down here where Mr. Plod is actually at the station, he's doing a bit of watching, local Plod. This is the old railway station for Bromyard. Now it used to back right up to this bridge, and pretty much this road is Station Road, and this is where the old railway station was. Now it was, the line what it was on was a 24-mile and a bit line, and it was the Worcester, Bromyard and Limpster railway line, but it was known as the Bromyard branch. Now it was single track, as I say, 24 and a bit miles, and it was built in 1874, but it wasn't built to Bromyard until 1877. And then it lasted quite a number of years. I think it's fully stopped to passengers quite early on, early 50s, but it didn't fully shut until 64. And then actually when it shut, we'll go down to the bottom and tell you what happened next. Right, I've teleported from up there to down here. I'm sort of studying railway history on here. This would have been end at platform down here, but they've always got this big swooping bit on bridges, what back onto or lead onto railway station, well, platforms.
As you can see on this old OS map, and on the left and on the right the new aerial view from 2025, I am currently stood there. You can see on the old map where I'm just right next to the line there, and now have an extra road. Now it's quite an interesting line, in fact, that it was single track, but if you look in the Bromyard Station, they've got a avoiding line around the back here, will obviously be on the back of the station, but they also could put a passenger in. They've got two lines, and a station there, I think, and a station there, and two more lines in here, so they can have a few trains in here. Or if they got something in the platform, the freight can come round the back here. And you can see, look, it goes right through that building in the today's, and then they had a goods shed over here in this new industrial estate here. Bit of goods with a siding, and another siding ran up there. Look, you can see it goes right through those cars there. And then they had another siding here, what must have been something to do with the gas works. Now we're going to come on to this stretch next.
Now, the story carries on. When this shut in 1964, a few days after, Bill Morris sponsored a train from here with two 060 tender locomotives, Great Western tender locomotives, but they only ran this bit of line and then obviously changed engines. But he sponsored a train from here in Bromyard to Blackpool a few days after. Now, Bill's story doesn't end there, it continues and goes on much further than that. Now, Bill was a great enthusiast, bit of steam. Everyone likes a bit of steam and everyone's an enthusiast, but I think Bill was quite deep into being an enthusiast. Went and bought himself an 18-inch gauge railway. Now, he bought this railway because he had ideas of running a line. Now, just around the corner, he did build that line, but we'll go on and look at that in a bit. So he bought an 18-inch gauge railway, and he bought more of it. He decided to buy more of it. And in the meantime, the Low Ratty, Raven-Glasnester Railway, where I was brought up, as you might have known already by then, if you not, look back at my videos, had acquired a 18-inch gauge railway from New Brighton with J. Wickes carriages on it, or they were known as J. Wickes carriages because they came from J. Wickes in Essex. And in these carriages there was an engine, and Bill Morris acquired this engine and I think a bit of track. And Raven-Glasester Railway kept the carriages because they could re-gauge them. We couldn't re-gauge the engine, but they sold that to Bill Morris. So he got this engine. But we'll go around the looking corner and carry on the story. But this is the old station. I'd like to note, we redecked that bridge in 2003 and actually named it after the very man himself, Bill Morris, and there was a plaque on the up on top there, what I can show you. So we come to the next stage in the story. Bill Morris, he's got his 18-inch, wants to do something with it, and he is sort of building it, but he doesn't really own the land. So one of the lads who's working for him, his dad's a councillor, and he gets the local council to buy this bit of land here and sell it to Bill Morris, and that's what they did. And Bill Morris got his land, and then he started building it, but what he found what was very, very hard was 18-inch was not very thin on the ground. But at this period, you're talking, I think 69 they really started, 1969 they really started to do something, and then it went into the 70s. People say this line opened in 1978, but it didn't. What I'm going to talk about, it sort of got built for the 70s. So he started building, couldn't get 18-inch, but at this time, a lot of mining railways and industrial railways, what were generally 2-foot gauge, were getting dismantled, and he decided, well, 2 foot's really common, let's go to 2 foot instead of 18-inch. So he got rid of the 18-inch and went to 2 foot. And this is what we have here today. This is all 2 foot. So we turn round. This behind me, behind all these fences here, you can see lots of wagons and lots of tipper wagons. Sam Morris, my friend, would have many multiple spasms in his head with all this because it would blow his head up. Is the Bromyard and Linton Light Railway. It runs for a mile from here to the A44, what's that away, and Linton Industrial Estate it runs to. So it's about a mile. And he built it, but it was never opened as a public railway. People say it was meant to be opened as a public railway, but really it was just a massive private train set, pretty much. Like me, cameraman, everyone would have, if we had the cash, we'd have his own private railway. But a bit bigger than double gauge, 2 foot. And we love narrow gauge. Narrow gauge is king in our heads. Well, it is in a TE head anyway. Let's have a mooch and have a look, see what he's got in the undergrowth. It hasn't been run, I think, for a few years. I think the last proper running was 2016, because the whole goal of this line was one day to see a bit of steam on it. It never really happened. And then in 2016, they had a photographic society run, and they got a little engineer called Wen, and they lifted it over the fence and put it on, and it actually ran steam. And I can show you some footage of that. So when you walk round from the station, the first thing you'll see is this nice little railway hut, like plate layers hut. Something we'd have in his back garden, really nice, it's all intact. And then next to it's a standard gauge box van. But a lot of it is all proper 2 foot gauge wagons, look. And they're all stacked on top of each other. And through there you won't be able to see. But through there is actually the line through there, but it's so overgrown you just wouldn't even know it's there apart from all the wagons. Now, as we go along, it's got another little plate layers hut there. Some more wagons, and he's got all these tippers. Now much later on, Bill Morris sold the railway to a guy called Bob, and he went and dismantled a line. He obviously just wanted a trap, but he had to buy everything, and he got pretty much lumbered with 30 of these tippers, 30 of them. But he didn't really want them, he wanted the trap, but that's why they've got tippers here. And there's a logo on it. Look, it's so bashed in here. You can actually see it was made in Leeds. There, it just says there, Leeds. Hudson Leeds. So he's got all these tippers, and now here there's an engine hoist there, but this is the main shed here, this green shed. It actually has the logo. Actually has the logo of the Bromyard Linton Light Railway there. You can see it on the door very clearly. Even though it's overgrown and faded, you can still see what it was. So as you can see all his tippers, and he's got some nice big wagons, and he's even got, like these, they have these at the Stafford Barn Railway, these little 2 foot gauge box vans. They don't look much behind the undergrowth, but I can tell you the little 2 foot gauge box vans, they're really, really nice. Stafford have them, and they've even built new ones because they can't get them. And then obviously more wagons, And down here, this is at the back of the shed, but down here there's a bogie, well not a bogie, a chassis. Here we go, where is it? There's a chassis of a steam engine there. Look, you can see the cylinders there, and then it's the actual chassis, and there should be a boiler somewhere, all boilers off it, and all the, you know, all the cab and everything's off it. So the loco I'm looking at here, what's all in bits at the back of Bromyard and Linton Light Railway, is Mesoic. Now this engine is a Peckett 06 OST, and she's one of 6 engines what went to near Southam to the K&Co cement works. Now all 6 locos are named after geological names from the dinosaur period. And actually, when I was at Stratford Railway a few months ago, there was actually a loco there, what's one of her sisters. Wow, a shame I didn't know at the time. Well, I wasn't editing this video, but anyway, we'll maybe do that on a later date. But for many years, after she sort of came out of, when she went into retirement, through the 60s, she was at Brackley Town Station Yard, and there's a few pictures of that, as John Evans on Flickr's got a few pictures of her just in the sidings, all in like primer and dirt and like, you know, retirement state. And then Bromyard and Linton Light Railway must have got hold of it from somewhere and must have started to refurb it, but never got there, because obviously as we see it today it's just a chassis, and there's no boiler, no cab, no chimney, just running gear and a chassis, that's all it is. And obviously the dream was to have steam on this railway, but it never happened. But it did in 2017 with when came and they ran it someone else's loco. So there you go, that's what the loco is. All the cab and everything's off it. And on here would be the original sign, what would have said probably the Bromyard and Linton Light Railway, but it's totally gone. And all the ivies took it over. Well, like we're on Station Road, and there's the industrial estate. I'll just show you can see this locomotive back at Shed better. Here, there's a bus depot, and that used to be the gas works. There you go, see the back of this loco here, just there. You probably can't see for all the undergrowth. Now, Bill Morris, who set up the Bromyard and Linton Light Railway, it confused me for a long time, because I read originally that he ran a bus company, and then I heard on a video that he did agricultural stuff, but I think he probably did the agricultural stuff first, and then he went on to doing a bus company, because next door, on the end of the building of the bus garage, is a family crest, and it says Morris, and it is now DRM, not something probably Morris Buses now. And I walk past in the next segment and there's a big bus on jack stands. So this is right next door to the Bromyard and Linton Light Railway, and that will be it. That bus and that axle stands there, that's a bit mad, isn't it? Thought I did some sketchy stuff, that's sketchy. Behind Travis Perkins there, and behind the bus garage, the line goes in that direction to the A44. And then we're going to go and try and get to the other end to see what we can see. Because you can hopefully see more track. There is more visual evidence of the track. Just a bit of factual interlude here. This is actually a floodplain. And it's got a higher footpath on it, and the road's much lower. There's golf coming past. Interesting sign language in Bromyard. And over there, there's a feet meter. Look, 6 foot. Well, it could get, wonder how deep it's been here when it's in flood season. And look, proper English cows over there, look, brown ones, before the invasion of the Frisians came in. I think that's like T.'s mom era, is when Britain had brown cows. come to the other end. We've managed to get here. Now this above me is the A44 road. Well, it's quite a busy road, and we've just walked along it outside of Bromyard, about a mile and a bit. Now this, believably, is the end of the mile Bromyard and Linton Light Railway, and it has a siding at this end, and that's believed to be the end. You know, it sort of goes off into the siding, that's it. And then I bet you originally, they had a run round, so they could run round the wagons and then go back. So behind us, we'll show you this. Behind you, and you can't believe it's been really, really hot. It's too damp down here and boggy. Now there's some point work here. Now this is the siding at the end, and this is believed to be the end of the Bromyard and Linton Light Railway. 2 foot gauge, and if I had my measuring stick with me, I could do the old oh no, I can. Hold on. In here, in my wallet, I have a little tape measure. Look, it's the Simmons Partnership Leeds. My little tape measure. When I'm out and about and I need to find a good length, I get that out my wallet, because you never know where you need a tape measure. No one carries one these days. So let's do the old TE measuring stick. Well, we need a measuring stick, but so to measure a gauge of a track, you do from the inner edge to the inner edge, and that's your gauge, because obviously the flange on the wheel on your wagon or your locomotive runs down that inner edge, and that tells you the inch on the feet. So I put from there, and we go there, and look, it's exactly 2 foot gauge of TE. Now I like my 15 inch because it's just enough, but a lot of people like 2 foot because 2 foot is, you can do a lot more with 2 foot, and a lot of mining, a lot of industry used it because of that, because it's more industry standard and more usable. Where I like a bit more miniature, like Romney Hive, ratty kind of gauge. You get, it's just you can do a bit more in a different area with it rather than industrial. So yeah, this is believed to be the end, and now this railway goes on, the 24-mile branch we were talking about, the Bromyard branch, carries on down there, and so it joins the main line. And there you go, that's the end of my little video with Thomas Edward. That's me, that is TE. And if you've enjoyed my video, give me a like and a subscribe and a comment. Always comment below. I also have a Patreon, so you can get behind the scenes, and you can get this video a week before it actually comes out. What's important. And there's a cameo and stuff like that. You can have a look. And also remember to click that big bell. Ding! If you enjoy these videos and like to support me, TE, and also get some behind the scenes content, please consider joining Patreon.